In 2017, the Nintendo Switch revolutionised handheld gaming, but it is no secret that the console has been scrutinised in recent years for its many limitations and being painfully outdated. Although the Switch was not designed to compete with modern Xbox or PlayStation consoles or PCs, there is a lot of room for improvement. Certain features should be a given for Nintendo to stay competitive and produce a console capable of running the larger, more ambitious games that have been pushing the Switch to its limits. Following the announcement of the new PS5 Project Q handheld console, there's no better time for Nintendo to announce the Switch 2 and decimate Sony's return to portable handheld gaming. Hello, I'm Heather at Amalgamingle, and today I want to go over 5 new features that we all want to see included in the next Nintendo Switch console. Firstly, Nintendo needs to ditch memory cards. The amount of internal storage currently offered on the Switch is criminal, considering the size of the games being released. With internal storage of only 32GB, a portion of which is reserved for system use, Switch players are limited to only 3 or 4 installed games. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has a file size of 18 gigs, making it the biggest Switch game of all time, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are 7GB each. Animal Crossing is around 6 gigs, and so is Pokemon Arceus. So that's all the games you could fit on a Switch at once. Is it too much to ask that we be allowed more than 4 major Nintendo releases to be installed on a Nintendo console at one time? Currently, the only solution is to either delete games to free up space or invest in micro SD cards to increase storage, which are expensive and a very outdated means of storage. The Switch is the only console to still require memory cards to store data. Sony ditched this concept after the PS2, and although Xbox 360 had the option to use memory cards, this was rarely needed with internal storage of 320 gigs. Nintendo, these are consoles from 20 years ago. I get that Switch games have always been smaller than major Sony and Microsoft releases, and that the sale of micro SD cards is probably big business for Nintendo, but I believe the Switch 2 needs to massively increase internal storage space and grant users external storage support on docking stations, if only to keep up with the increasing size of Switch games. The PS4 offered 500 gigs and 1TB on PS4 Pro. Xbox Series X and PS5 both boast 1TB of internal storage space, and you can store games on formatted external hard drives. So come on Nintendo, give us at least the 300 gigs of internal storage that Xbox offered us in 2005. When you are a company offering contemporary portable devices, being able to download and install apps should be the standard, but the Switch is severely limited. The only video streaming service you can install is YouTube for some reason. I currently have Netflix, Disney, Amazon Prime and Now TV on my television, mobile phone, Xbox and PlayStation consoles. The Switch is the only device that doesn't have this ability. Why? Apparently this is because Nintendo wants the Switch to be primarily for gaming. The Switch will always be first and foremost a gaming console, but the ability to download entertainment apps would be game-changing. There have been rumours for years that services such as Netflix and Disney Plus would be coming to the Switch, but we are still waiting. It would also be great if they could add social networking to the console, maybe encourage a social gaming experience. I'm not saying they should compete with the likes of Samsung or Apple in terms of adopting mobile technology, but the technology is there, and we all really want Nintendo to integrate apps into their next Switch console. Backwards compatibility in gaming is a big thing, and although Nintendo have attempted to offer this, they have done a pretty poor job so far. When they announced Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack with N64, NES and Game Boy ports, fans were so excited, including myself. I grew up playing the N64 and I adore the Zelda franchise. But this bubble quickly burst. It was quite disappointing. The library of games on offer was quite limited, and you need to install like 3 different things to even be able to access the service. It's just not good enough, especially for the price. The Switch 2 needs to address this. They should also have everything they have on offer in one place, which brings me to the eShop. The Switch needs a better eShop. The current eShop is awful. They definitely need a better layout, if anything, and menu options. We can't browse all games and filter them by genre, price, release date, or look through a free to me page based on our subscriptions. So, unless you specifically know what you're looking for, good luck finding anything. I'm not even sure how they could improve the eShop, but some innovation is definitely needed in this area. So yes, everything needs streamlining on the Switch 2, made more user-friendly, and Nintendo seriously needs a subscription service to rival PS Plus and Game Pass that rewards Nintendo loyalists. Speaking of rewarding Nintendo loyalists, why are game prices never reduced? One of my biggest gripes about the Switch is the price of games. Despite how old a game is, they never reduce the price or offer significant discounts. Astonishingly, Zelda Breath of the Wild is still the same price it was when it was first released in 2017, which is the same AAA tier pricing as Tears of the Kingdom released in May 2023. That's ridiculous. I understand that Nintendo owns some pretty huge IPs and have cornered the huge markets due to this, but they should reward Nintendo fans with substantial price drops on older games, in the eShop at least. A game as old as Breath of the Wild would anywhere else cost a lot less by now. Hell, Elden Ring on PS5, which was Game of the Year, was only released in February 2022, and the price has already dropped 30%. The price of Horizon Forbidden West on PS5 has halved in a year. Whereas Octopath Traveler on Switch is just as expensive as Octopath Traveler 2 for some reason. The pricing is so messed up. It's nothing but corporate greed. Nintendo do not need to reduce their prices because they have exclusivity of those IPs, and they don't need to reduce the prices to compete with anyone else. But it would be great if prices were kinder for games over 3 years old. It's just polite, isn't it? So my final entry is hardware upgrades. The technology behind the Switch is very outdated and everybody knows it. Firstly, the Switch console needs to have an OLED screen at launch and 4K gaming capability. Most people don't care that much about gaming graphics. I mean, do you really need to see Kirby or Mario in 4K? The only reason I bring this up is because a lot of games are cross-platform, and for them to be compatible with the Switch, some need to be downgraded or require extra work before release, such as Hogwarts Legacy and Gollum, which is never good and results in Nintendo fans being left behind while PlayStation and Xbox players have access to the games months earlier. Secondly, the Switch 2 desperately needs more processing power to be able to run bigger games more smoothly. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was the game that recently brought this issue to the forefront. The game did not run very well at all. There was epic stutter, frame rate issues, glitches, and ugly textures. Don't get me wrong, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are fantastic games. I had so much fun playing them. But they were too ambitious for the Switch console in its current state, and Nintendo fans are being asked to fork out a lot of money for Switch releases. The minimum we expect is for a game to run well on the platform for which it was intended. So yes, more processing power is a must for the Switch 2. Thirdly, we need better controllers. The Joy-Cons are notorious for drift and sticky buttons, they are extremely expensive to replace, and they are not great to use when the console is placed on docking stations. Maybe it's because I'm primarily a PlayStation gamer, but trying to play the Switch on a large TV at home using the Joy-Cons feels so unnatural. Perhaps the Switch 2 could come with a free Joy-Con charging grip. The fact that Switch controller alternatives to Joy-Cons even exist proves that people want this option. So, there we have it. There's 5 new features that we all really want to see in the next Switch console. The Switch is such a great console with a lot of potential and some fantastic exclusive IPs, but I really do hope that Nintendo brings more contemporary aspects to the Switch too, and listens to the community. So let me know in the comments if you agree with my entries and what new features you want to see on the next Nintendo console. Also, don't forget to check out our other videos on the channel. We upload diverse content on a regular basis, and as a smaller gaming channel, we appreciate the feedback and support. I've been Heather at Amalgamingle, and thank you very much for watching.